All right, my name is Kevin Flerlage. Actually work for Jeff. I'll get into that a little bit later. I've been using Tableau for 12 months and have been lucky enough to see some relative success in that time. One of the things that Jeff mentioned is the Women's in Analytics Conference that's sponsored by University of Cincinnati. That's happening. Well, I'll be driving up there tomorrow up in Columbus, and made it to the finals, top 5. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll win that. Last year, my colleague, Danushki De Oliveira, won that competition. So we can keep it in the, Jeff runs the company Unifund. Maybe we can keep that in the Unifund family. So I won't get into all the other stuff on screen. All right, so just a little bit more about me. I am actually the identical twin brother of Ken Flerlage. He's been using Tableau for about 3 years. You see he's got a shirt on, if you can tell, that says Tableau Zen Master. He was voted Zen Master in 2018 and again in 2019, along with Jeff. But he has a website. He has like 2 million views. It's kenflerlage.com. Lots of cool stuff on there. But what he's more famous for is being the model for Mr. Clean. Is that not ridiculous? He looks exactly like him. Even has like an earring right here. Anyways, I just thought that was funny. Like I said, I've been lucky enough to have a Zen Master as a brother to kind of guide me through the process, and have seen some success. I actually talked about my journey in August at the Tableau user group that was down in Road ID in Northern Kentucky. And what you might not know is, yes, about a month later, I started working at Jeff's company. So it's me and Danushki are kind of the 2 main Tableau developers. Lots of people that use Tableau there, but we're the 2 main Tableau developers. Jeff pretty much runs the show. But there's something a little odd going on here at Unifund. Let me kind of explain. So Jeff here, everybody knows Jeff. Jeff recently did a viz and put it up on Tableau that talked about variations of bar charts, right? So lots of different things. You see normal bar charts, you see lollipops, outline charts, progress bars. And what's really cool is he called it bar hopping, which I thought was really creative, bar hopping. So I thought that was cool. And one of my recent vizzes was talking about Major League Baseball wins, losses, and streaks. Winning streaks, losing streaks. And yeah, this is certainly not work best practice here, but just a little bit of fun. So Jeff's viz is on bar hopping. My viz is on streaking. So Danushki here, she's working on a viz called bailing Jeff and Kevin out of jail. I thought that, well, hopefully that'll be out soon. So anyways, I'm not a comedian, so I'll be done with the jokes. What I'm talking about today is the power of dashboard navigation buttons. So right around conference time, I think it was right after the conference, I think they announced some of the features at the conference. Tableau came out with 2018.3, and there were lots of really cool features in that. Probably, well, I've only been using Tableau for a year, but it's the most new features, most impactful features that I've seen. Probably the major one was set actions. Jeff, last Tableau user group, talked about set actions. DataViz Lens, who became known as the set actions queen, and there's websites out there, dozens, hundreds of people doing things with set actions, and it is really powerful. And then transparent sheets opens you up to just a number of different design options. My streaking viz wouldn't have been really even possible without transparent sheets. And then density marks makes heat mapping just really, really easy and simple instead of kind of having to hack it like we used to. But one of the other features that came out was dashboard navigation buttons. And to be honest, people really think it was all about, and it is, it was really all about the ability to navigate from one dashboard to another, right? And to date, I've not seen a single person write a blog post, an article on dashboard navigation buttons. In fact, my brother was trying to compile some information for his work, and Tableau's help site didn't even have anything about dashboard navigation buttons. And I think the idea is it's really simple. Okay, you add a button to a dashboard, and you can navigate from one dashboard to another. But truth is, there are a lot of different things that you can do with dashboard navigation buttons that make some really complex things really easy. So I'm going to jump into a demo here. I'm going to just show how dashboard navigation used to work, and I'll show you how it's been improved since then. So here is a viz that I did 6 or 8 months ago for IronViz. Just everything I show is not going to be work related, so fun stuff, hopefully. The idea was you got your little character down here, and this may take a sec to load, but you pick a card and your character moves. And how I have this set up is if you click on this, hopefully it works. This is the problem with the old way. So you click on that button, it takes you to a different dashboard. Well, how we used to do that is we had to actually create a chart, and I'll show you how we did that. I'm just going to go to this guy. So we actually had to create a chart. So I just basically have a scatter plot. I had created this custom shape in PowerPoint, plotted it in that scatter plot, and then I come over here. I add it to that chart to the dashboard. I come up to dashboard actions. I have to set up all these dashboard actions to dashboard filter actions to trick Tableau into skipping from one dashboard to another. And then when you publish it, you have to show tabs as sheets. It's a pain. I think a couple months ago, Jeff said it's just a really bad hack. And one of the other problems with it, and you saw when I first selected, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What you really have to do is select a chart first. You see I already clicked, and then click the button. So it's always this sort of double click thing that's really not very good. It's not a good user experience. So what I'm going to do here is show you. So all that to create one navigation, and with dashboard navigation buttons, it makes things a lot easier. So I'm going to kill that and just show you. Down here, it's a little fuzzy here, but there's one that's called, it says button. So I can just drag that on, and it puts on this really ugly button, but you can change that. If you hit the little down arrow here and hit edit button, you got a really simple setup here. You have the option to navigate to a different sheet or dashboard. You can change the image, and you add a tooltip. I typically do not add tooltips. They seem to kind of get in the way. So all I need to do is tell this to navigate to the Candyland dashboard. I'll choose the image. I have this built in PowerPoint, and hit OK. And we have a button here, and it will not play unless I put it in presentation mode, but just a one-click navigation. So really, really simple. You don't have to do all this hacky stuff, and it works a lot cleaner. So that's how you actually do a dashboard navigation button. But really, what's it good for? Throw this back in presentation mode. So one of the things that I wrote about, so I wrote a blog post, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, probably not that long ago, 3 months ago, that talked about the power of dashboard navigation buttons and the things you can do with them that make a lot of these other things really simple. So collapsible menus is one of the main things I focused on. Now, I will admit, Tableau has this in beta right now, right? So over the next few months, hopefully we'll see this feature built right into Tableau. But collapsible menus, you see them really on your phone a lot, where you see these, it's a little fuzzy up here, but you see these hamburger menus. You click that, and it expands this menu out for you. It really does a great job of conserving space. You see this more and more on websites, especially on mobile websites, just to save space. Has anybody ever read or used the Robert Rouse method of creating a collapsible menu in Tableau? Jeff has. So Robert Rouse, the ex-Zen, former Zen, and brilliant guy, wrote up a method, I don't know, 3 years ago, how to do this in Tableau using containers. And well, Jeff, easy to do? No. really, I didn't even try it. It's really difficult to do. You have to be really technical, difficult to maintain. And I've actually spoken with Robert about this. He totally agrees, and he wishes he never had to write that blog post. So, so when I looked at dashboard navigation buttons, I thought, well, using some trickery, you could do that pretty easily. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So, yeah, business dashboard. I said I wouldn't show you business dashboards. This is Tableau's, one of Tableau's sample dashboards. So what I have here is a line chart with a bunch of filters over here. So I'm going to hide this, Jeff. Yeah, there we go. I'm just going to create a dashboard, and I'm going to drop that guy on there. I am going to assume we are dealing with very limited space. So let's just cram it in here so it's really tough to see. Okay, so we have some line charts. We have these filters on the side. Not only are they ugly, they're in the way. We don't have enough space. So what we can do is create that collapsible menu using dashboard navigation buttons. So one of the keys to doing this is to duplicate the dashboard. I'm going to name this one. I'm not suggesting you duplicate sheets, because that all of a sudden becomes a lot harder to maintain. But duplicating a dashboard, I'll show you, shouldn't be a major issue because it's so quick to follow this process. If you need to modify your dashboard, it's really easy to do anyway. So we now have two identical dashboards, named actually 1 and 2. What I'm going to do is remove this container here from the first dashboard. So we have one with just the line charts, another one with the line chart and the filters. So what I'll do is drop a dashboard navigation button onto the view here. I'm going to edit that, and I'm going to tell it to navigate to dashboard number 2. And I'm going to pick an image of this hamburger menu. And you can see my PowerPoint skills. I drew that in PowerPoint all by myself. Pretty impressive. And then what I'm going to do is jump over here to the second dashboard. I'm going to do something very similar. I'm going to drop another button on there. I'm going to tell it this time to navigate to dashboard 1. And I'm going to choose another really creative shape that I created, an X. And normally I would put these in the exact same spot, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. But now if I put this, if I put this into presentation mode, you can see how we quickly have a collapsible menu. All right, so that took all of about 3 minutes to put together. There is some people that would say, well, you're creating 2 different views on your server. That's going to take up extra space. True. But one of the things, I'll talk about a little bit later, when you start looking at multiple dashboards, when you have multiple views, you also have the ability to see where people are really going, where people are using. So what I mentioned before is if you needed to change a chart or needed to add more charts to this dashboard, this process takes 3 minutes. You could just delete that second dashboard and recreate it in no time. It's a lot easier to maintain, a lot quicker to do than these crazy hacks with collapsible with containers. So what other kind of things can you do? I'm going to stay in here. One of the other things that we probably do on a regular basis, which isn't really too hard to do with a parameter and a container, is sheet swapping or changing from one chart to another. I'm going to show how we can do that with dashboard navigation buttons. So here we have a line chart. Here we have hopefully a bar chart. Okay, maybe we wouldn't flip between the 2 of them, but just for demonstration purposes, I am going to do something very similar. I am going to create a dashboard, and we're going to bring onto this the line chart, get rid of the filters. I'm going to duplicate that just so we make sure we have the exact same size dashboard. And throw the bar chart on this one. Get rid of that. All right, so we have a line chart. We have a bar chart, right? So same kind of deal. We go to this line chart, and we'll drag a button on here, and I'm going to have some stuff overlapping. It's not going to look pretty, but you'll get the picture. I'm going to tell it to navigate to dashboard, what I call that, dashboard 7.2. That's really creative. And I'm going to pick a button that I, again, drew in PowerPoint. You'll get to know that I love Tableau and PowerPoint, my 2 favorite things. And I picked the wrong image. Let me change that. So I now have this button to go to the other page that looks like a bar chart. I'm going to do something very similar on this other worksheet. Tell it to navigate to dashboard 7. Pick the line chart image. And these will not be the same size, but you'll get the picture. We put that in presentation mode. You'll see we have a really quick sheet swapping option. Okay. So really cool stuff that you can do with just with very little energy. It doesn't take a lot to recreate these things. So some of the other things you can do, and I see we don't have a ton of time, so I probably won't spend a ton of time on these other things. But one of the things that I've done in the past was a viz around Christmas time that showed the words of the Bible. One was the North Star was the number of words in the books of the New Testament, and all these stars out here were every single word of the New Testament. And you hover, you can get some additional information. So if I hover over here, that's Jesus, right? And their size based on how often they were used. Well, the problem I have is I've got these two charts that are sticking on top of each other, and even though you have transparent sheets, you don't have the ability to interact with the sheet that's stuck underneath. So what you can do is use a dashboard navigation button to change the floating position. So it's two dashboards, and all I've done is flip the floating position on each of those. You can do color themes. So my brother wrote a blog post a couple months ago that showed a really creative way to change your color theming. What he read about, I think it said some 10 or 15% of people are really light sensitive. So when we create dashboards on a white background with black text, that actually bothers a lot of people. They prefer to see it the other way. In fact, if you pull up your phone, and if you're not on Twitter following people, I would suggest it, but they have light day modes where you can turn it to dark or turn it to light. So this is a pretty common thing, especially with cell phones. And he wrote a really cool blog post how to do it. And he said, hey, will you read this for me? And I read through the whole thing. Cool. And I said to him, why don't you just duplicate the dashboard and use the dashboard button? He went, dang it. So he rewrote his blog to say, and then Kevin said, do this. And my portion was this big and his portion was this big. So, really cool things you can do that. You can do image swapping. One of the things that I haven't done yet, but when I was reading about Los Angeles, 37% of the population speak Spanish as their first language. If you were in the Los Angeles government, you probably have translating a lot of websites and things like that. You can do the same thing. Two different dashboards, one in English, one in Spanish. Use a dashboard navigation button to switch them. And then really, you can use it as a design element or just to have a little bit of fun. So all the things that you've seen up here, with the exception of a few, have been just fun projects. This is one of Ken's, sorry, I guess I could show this. This is Ken's color theming viz. So one of the things with his is he had to use the same color text, which can be really tricky to use the same color text on white and black background. So you can kind of see, it's a little hard to see on that light background, but use it as a design element. Have a little bit of fun with it. So I brought up the streaking viz earlier. Again, don't use this at work. Jeff would probably kill me if I use a radial bar chart or whatever that radial line chart is. But at MLB, there's 6 divisions of 5 teams. And so I have all these 6 divisions of teams, American League, National League. And all these are actually just dashboard navigation buttons to bring me to a different league. So if I click, hopefully this will go quick. So I click and I go to a different division. And I actually set it up so it's a different dashboard. So highlight you go to American League and National League. So just a little bit of fun that you can have with it. It's really built into the viz as really part of a design element, but it has a lot of functionality. And the last thing I'll show is, 2 things I'm going to show. I mentioned the women's in analytics competition. This is the viz that got top 5. It's about drunk driving. It was inspired by a friend of mine who was hit by a drunk driver 15 years ago while helping somebody else on the side of the road, on the Brent Spence Bridge, actually. And the Viz was meant to bring awareness, but also to not be, also to have a little bit of fun with it. So one of the aspects that I built into it are the little glasses here. It says, "Don't believe me, click on the glasses to see for yourself." So this is just a dashboard navigation button. If I click on it, it'll show you what your vision looks like after one drink. And if I continue, well, it's a little fuzzy on the screen, but if you continue, you'll start to see that background get fuzzier and fuzzier. And basically it says, whether you know it or not, your vision is becoming blurred the more you drink. So some fun elements that you can do with dashboard navigation buttons. But I would be remiss if I didn't show Jeff Schaefer's Viz. And it's going to load on Tableau Public. Here we go. So Jeff just recently created this Viz talking about showing the average age of buildings. So what he did is bring in a dashboard navigation button to bring him to another dashboard that has an embedded GIF, right? It's a GIF, an embedded GIF. And if we click here, we can kind of see. We'll let this run here. All of a sudden, a bunch of buildings pop up in the late 1800s. So what Jeff did here is actually obviously really cool, but it's all made possible by the ability to use this, to easily use dashboard navigation buttons, not that crazy old hack. So anyways, that's all I have. It looks like I'm right on the dot. So any questions for me?
That's great.
All right. I have no stickers to give away, so that's probably why there's no questions. All right. Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.